questions at the end. That's what we've agreed. We are going to the next question. There's no point of order. Senator Osoti. Sorry? What is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, you know we have so many questions to ask the Cabinet Secretary. Yes. And the time is very limited. Yes. I am seeing a situation where the Cabinet Secretary is taking too much time trying to explain, and yet he has a written response. So I think he will save on time if he focuses on the written response, and then we can create time for supplementary questions.
Correct. Senator Osotsi, the Cabinet Secretary has not actually spent a lot of time on the written response. He's been actually very brief. So anyways, because of time, well, let's go to the next question, which is actually raised by you, Senator Osotsi. If you could ask question number 59, so that we can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, the Cabinet Secretary, for appearing to answer my question. I want to ask question number 59, and it reads, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the criteria used by the Kenya Rural Roads Authority, KERA, in the allocation of funds to counties for the period April to June 2024, and explain why only 4 counties, including Vihiga County and Garissa County, where you come from, Mr. Speaker, were left out in the allocation. Number 2, what measures have been put in place by the ministry to ensure that KERA funds are not misappropriated through skewed procurement and political interference in the awarding of road construction contract? And this, Mr. Speaker, mainly touches on the 10% and 22%. Number 3, what steps is the ministry taking to eliminate duplicity in awarding contracts for the construction and maintenance of rural roads and avert misappropriation of funds? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to respond as follows. The allocation of funds to counties is defined by the provisions of the Kenya Roads Act 2007, where 22% of the roads maintenance levy fund is allocated for the maintenance of constituency roads and the 10% for maintenance of link roads between constituencies. These allocations are shared equally across all the 290 constituencies in the 47 counties, with variations only resulting from the number of constituencies per county. Consequently, the funds disbursed to counties in the period in question constituted a second tranche of the 10% of road maintenance levy fund allocation shared equally as outlined above. Vihiga County received 20 million in this tranche, being 44 million per constituency. Enclosed are the details of the allocations to each county for 10% RMLF as Appendix 1 and 22% RMLF as Appendix 2. The allocation for maintenance under the development budget is mainly guided by Parliament in the allocation of public participation initiatives and other pressing emergencies that Parliament may consider necessary. The Ministry may allocate development funds for maintenance based on critical areas to be addressed, such as mitigation against flood damage and other emergency interventions. Due to limited budget ceiling available to the State Department of Roads, KERA is unable to allocate funds to all critical areas. Allocated funds should be enough to address the particular challenge and realize value for money, as a thin spread funds would result in ineffective allocation with little to show from the spread. The procurement of roadworks in KERA, number 2, the procurement of roadworks in KERA adheres to the Public Procurement and Asset Disposals Act, PPDA 2015, as amended in 2022, including PPDA regulations of 2020. Key controls in line with PPDA 2015 include open tendering for the roadworks, restricted tendering through a pre-qualified list, publishing all tenders on the authority's website and the Public Procurement Information Portal, PPIP, strict adherence to awarding at least 30% of the contracts to special groups in line with ACPO. 3, to prevent duplicity in roadworks, the Ministry undertakes several measures. A, sharing annual roadworks program with all relevant agencies, including county governments. B, ensuring adequate consultation with county governments when roads under their purview are prioritized by the Constituency Roads Committee for maintenance works and entering into memorandum of understanding as applicable. C, notifying the public through various platforms, including media channels and public boards, about ongoing project scope of works, and contractor details and other salient information. Number D is conducting internal audit and rigorous quality control measures, including material testing, to ensure that there is value for money. And E, collaborating with statutory and regulatory entities responsible for oversight and monitoring of roadworks, including technical auditors, parliamentary committees, and the Office of Auditor General, to ensure prudent utilization of public resources. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Osotsi, supplementary question.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary, for your answer. But looking at the first part of the question, which talks about the allocation of funds to the counties between April and June 2024. The Cabinet Secretary is a bit general on this matter. I would have thought that he will bring a list of all the counties and what was allocated. Because the list I have, it indicates that money for the maintenance of road, and this is outside the RMLF, that was allocated within that period. 4 counties, including Vihiga County and your county, Mr. Speaker, were left out. So this is the list I would wish the Cabinet Secretary to make reference to, and not the Roads Maintenance Levy Fund, which, as we know, it is at 22%, and also the 10%, which is for maintenance of roads that link constituencies. So I'm referring to that listing of funds which were given to the counties between April and June. That indicates that my county got nil. Number 2, the answers to question 2 and 3, Mr. Speaker, that is the best case scenario. But Mr. Speaker, we know that the carer funds, which are under the management of members of parliament, are misappropriated. And that's a fact. And this is something that we discussed the whole of last week and this week. The 22% and the 10%. So the answer there, as much as it looks very good, but the situation on the ground, Vitukwa ground, is different. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, the issue of duplicity in road maintenance and construction. This is a serious problem, Mr. Speaker, that county puts money on a road, the member of parliament puts the money on that same road, and in some places even the MCA, the same road, and the carer, the same road. And you end up having a situation where public money is misused. So the answer given by the Cabinet Secretary to me is not adequate, and the Cabinet Secretary needs to go on the ground to get the real facts about this problem, which we all know as senators. It's happening in our counties. So, Mr. Speaker, the answers given by the Cabinet Secretary is very inadequate.
Thank you,
and
Senator.
I expected that the Cabinet Secretary, having been a senator in this House, would respond very well to question number 2 and number 3. Because these are challenges we go through, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Cabinet Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, the truth is that every constituency gets enough, the same money from carer, exactly the same. Last financial year, 62 million for every constituency in the Republic, because the law itself, the Kenya Roads Boards Act 2007, Section 6, makes it mandatory to that it be shared equally across the country. So Vihiga gets its fair share of its constituency. How it is advertised is different for every constituency at different time, depending on the constituency roads committees, meetings, and so forth. So you would have picked the period, under the answer I gave, you picked a period where there was an advert going out for that county with many other counties across the country in relation to that only figure. But cumulatively, when you finish the financial year, depending on how the planning was done for every constituency, it will eventually lead to 62 million shillings. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I don't think it is, the last time I was in this house before I left, and I still think it is the same, it is not right to impute an improper motive to the other chamber. It is for the committee and good working relationship with two chambers of parliament. It is important not to generalize a debate about National Assembly and the Senate. And therefore, because, Mr. Speaker, even when my eyes are thrown around the House, I see three former members of National Assembly who managed constituencies and worked with the Constituency Roads Committee, Honorable Omenen, Honorable Tobiko, Honorable Gisang. All of them have a good history about how the CARA works with constituencies. And Honorable Abbas also is here. So by and large, and as we progress, there are more people who are coming from National Assembly to work here, and there are people who live here to find themselves in National Assembly, and I know a number of them when we work together, and then others who become governors, as I suspect the Honorable Member is one of the suspects. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this kind of arrangement requires us to make sure that we find our ways. In fact, Mr. Speaker, when I came here first to this chamber, I used to have a problem with CDF and money going to constituency. But as I progressed towards the second term, I asked myself, is it better to go to my constituency, say Marakwet East, where I come from, and go and fight with the Constituency Roads Committee people I know and fight with the MP? Or is it better for me to centralize all resources to Nairobi so that I come and fight in Nairobi with so many other people? And I told myself, decentralization, even for resources that remain with national government, using this method where the money goes to the constituency, is easier for me to go and deal with characters on the ground whom I know and hold them into account than to keep the money at the headquarters here and shroud it with a lot of mystery. And I worked very well with my honorable members, including Senator Gisang here, in a way that we've made sure that the CDF funds schools, funds classes, in a way that mitigates this issue of marginalization across the country. Mr. Speaker, I agree with Honorable Otsotsi on one thing, Senator Otsotsi, that the problem of duplication is real. But, Mr. Speaker, it's not general. It's specific to certain areas, and it's a problem we are grappling with, even with the ministry. And what we have done is to make sure that we sign MOUs with counties that request CARA that you can maintain these roads. We have also expedited the process of graduating the roads from through Kenya Roads Boards, handed over from counties to national government and gazetted, so that if we find counties still maintaining a road that is already gazetted at national level, it becomes now easy for the Auditor General to point out this issue of double allocation. This area, especially in marginalized counties, this area of allocation of devolved roads money is still a little bit, the accountability is not up to date, and it's something we are working with on the minister, and it's good to acknowledge as it is, but it's not general in such a way that I would say even Vihiga is a victim. What Senator Osotsi can help me do is that in cases where there is an actual evidence that this is happening in this place, he can give me the information, even if it is not publicly, privately, because I don't need to fight with the MP. The regional manager or the regional director of the agency CARA, we will hold him into account. I don't know the MP and I don't know the committees that are happening there. Eventually, the responsibility is with the regional director, and that's the person I will hold into account, that the money is allocated to where they have told us it's allocated. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, CS. Next question